Hello everyone and welcome back to Macro Day here on Scriptcase by Jamie. Today we're talking about a quick and simple macro that gives you control, or manual control should I say, over your menu's responsive behavior. And it's like having a remote control to switch your menu from desktop to mobile view whenever you want. So today we are going to explore the SC menu force mobile. That is SC_menu_force_mobile macro. So let's dive in, shall we? So hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we are checking out the SC menu force mobile macro, which allows you to change the behavior of your menu from desktop to mobile view whenever you like. And the main purpose of the SC menu force mobile macro is to force a menu to display in its mobile optimized format, regardless of the user's choice. Or the user's device, should I really say there. Now normally Scriptcase handles this automatically for you. It detects in the background the screen size, and then this macro gives you the power to override that functionality so that you can manually enable or disable the mobile menu view based on your own logic or maybe your own specific needs. Now, as you see, we have the macro displayed here, SC_menu_force_mobile. And that is how it is pretty much written out. And it does, of course, have a very basic scope as well as the syntax, which we see here. And the scope of it, well, is pretty straightforward. Because, of course, you will use this macro in your menu, in your responsive menu, or maybe even your tree menu applications. It functions in all of your menus. Its primary home is on the onload or the on application init events, which are the perfect places to check conditions before the menu is actually rendered on the end user's browser. So let's have a look at the syntax, shall we? So I'll type it out here again. We have SC_menu_force_mobile. I was about to write menu again then. And we have then our brackets. Now we have a Boolean functionality here that we can actually, or parameters should I say, that we can add in here. And that is very simple, true or false. And it's pretty straightforward, as you see then. It's one of the two, so it's Boolean, and we can then add that in there if we want to. Now, we are, of course, going to open up a menu and check it out. So if I come here to my home applications, and we will go ahead and create a new application. And we see here I have no connection going right now. So let me just come here for the local SQLite database, and I'm just going to save that. That's what we are going to use. And it says we're unable to create that connection. Now it could well be that in some shape or form I've gone and removed that connection. And well, we'll see how this goes. So if I come here to new application and skipping the connection, of course, that's another issue. We can cover that in another video maybe. And really the menu, well, it can connect to the database, but it's not always needed. So let's just go ahead and generate one. We have here a menu, the responsive menu. So that is what I will then use. And let me add some items in here, and then we can just run that and check it out. So there we have then our default menu with 3 items in here. And we can see that this is then the default desktop view of your menu application. Now if I come in here to the events, we have then the on application in it. And if I type in here SC_menu_force_mobile, and we then can add in here true, for instance. Now if I run it again, we can then see how the menu now looks within the mobile. That's pretty funny because I've just added it to all 3 events, and I just love creating these macro videos, and then the macro doesn't want to work. How awesome is that? It's always a great. Now, of course, I have all of these macros in line, dedicated for specific days, as you already know, because you have them on Instagram and some other social media networks, where we then highlight which macros displayed this week. Of course, last week we had like a combination of many because I had a little holiday, but this is how it is, I'm afraid. So as it is, we're seeing here 3 different menus, and I've added this into all 3 events that we have here on application init, on execute, as well as on load. Now we have the true Boolean event here, so I'm going to remove that, and let's see if that then makes any difference. But in general, that should actually go ahead and force the mobile menu, which it doesn't seem to want to do right now, which is great, right? So anyway, that is how it's meant to work. And of course, if I would add false in here, then it would force or not allow basically the mobile view. So even if you're viewing the menu on a mobile device, well, then it would always display the desktop style menu, which it is kind of forced to do here, which is a bit of a shame because of course I would really like to create this macro video and show you this working. So anyway, let's come here then to the on load, and I'm going to comment these out and save that. I will then access the on execute and comment that out there. Now, in general, when this macro does work, then maybe you would want to use this with an if statement. So for instance, we could then add an if statement in here, and then we could maybe force the mobile menu when we have, say, for instance, a user role, and that, say, could equal then the manager, and then we would then force here the menu in here, and that would then ensure that whenever we have the manager viewing this, that they would then always receive then the mobile version of this menu. Now I can run that, and then it's going to ask me then for the global variable, which, well, is then set by default and is not. So with that added, we could then add here the user role, for instance, and define that. So I would say user role equals manager. And with that then, if I save that, let's go ahead and then run this application. And then that should actually, enforce the manager global variable that I've applied here, this one. And then also apply here or force the mobile menu, which for some reason it is not working. Now, I'm sure that Scriptcase or Netmake will come up with a fix for this, because of course, as soon as I finish recording this video, I'm going to let them know that this lovely macro is not working, and I've just recorded this awesome little video and I've just shown you it all not working. It's a great day, isn't it? Anyway, sometimes that happens, and as some of you know, there are the odd bugs in Scriptcase, and of course, there are always adjustments, changes, and updates being added. So I'm sure in the next couple of days, or by next week, for instance, or even after that, you will have this macro working again. I sure hope so. But anyway, let's check out the Scriptcase documentation, because we can check that out as well and just make sure that we have this macro correct, because I'd hate to say that it's not working and then we have the macro incorrect, right? So I'm going to come here to the Scriptcase website, and we have here the online documentation. If I then view that, and then we have here our macros. So let me then run a search here. Here we have then the SC menu force mobile, and that is then true or false. So let me copy and paste that in here, and then we see here, just to make sure there's no difference. And as we see, that is how the macro should be. So it is really, in fact, not working right now, which is really a bit of a shame, but that's how it is, I'm afraid. Now, of course, there are other ways of using this macro, not just with an if statement and maybe a user role. Maybe you want to change it for the screen width. So when the width is a certain size, then of course you could adjust it then. Now in those cases, you may want to write yourself a little script that checks then the browser screen size, and then we can just add in here within the if statement, then the screen width, if it's less than say 700 or 768, I believe it is, or the 1024, whatever it is, then you can actually go ahead and adjust that and ensure that your users receive a mobile version of the menu at all times. Now, I am really sorry that this macro has not worked. Of course, there's nothing I can do about that. And of course, like I mentioned already, this is pretty much all planned out already. So I do apologize. But yeah, there's nothing I can do about that, I'm afraid. You know, I have the macros all pre-prepared and to be displayed at certain times and recorded at certain times. And well, it's not working. It's what it is, I'm afraid. So if you are using this macro, I would advise you to bug the hell out of Netmake and let them know, hey, this macro is not working. I just seen it in Jamie's video and it doesn't work. But that's the way it goes. Okay, so while this macro SC menu force mobile is pretty simple, and as you see it is a one-line macro, it is in fact a powerful tool for fine-tuning your user's experience when it works. It's all about making sure that your menu works exactly as you intend on any device. And that is pretty much the end of today's video, I'm afraid. So if you found this video helpful, give us a thumbs up, subscribe for more macro day goodness. Be sure to hit that notification bell if you want to be notified when there are new videos on the channel. And let me know how you are using the SC Menu Force Mobile down in the comments to perfect your own menus. Do you perfect them? Do you use this macro? Have you used this macro? And otherwise, I'll see you next Friday right here on Scriptcase by Jamie for another macro deep dive.